Hello and welcome. You're watching a special broadcast of Republic Defence where you get unmatched access to our border areas. Tonight on Republic Defence Special Shoot, we bring you the exercise, the ongoing exercise Akhand Prahar along the Indo-Pakistan border. What exactly are you going to see over the next couple of minutes? Unmatched imagery coming in from our border areas. The kind of tri-service exercise that is being carried out is a clear indication of how we are essentially positioning ourselves. On display, of course, are the T-90 battle tanks, but not just that. Interestingly, for the first time ever, you're essentially looking at the new brigade, the Rudra Brigade, out in display in full might that they are essentially showing on the battlefield. Tonight, my colleague Gursimran gets you the special report.
The sun rises over Jaisalmer. The desert stretches endlessly, still, silent and unforgiving. But beneath this calm lies India's most ambitious But beneath this calm lies India's most ambitious combat simulation, exercise Akhand Prahar.
Indian Armed Forces are conducting their largest tri-services exercise Trishul on the Western Front. Right now we are reporting from the deserts of Rajasthan where the Indian Army's Southern Command is holding the exercise Akhand Prahar. The uninterrupted strikes that India has carried out on the adversary during Operation Sindoor. This is the joint validation wherein Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, they will be taking part to ensure that the areas of the adversary are not far from the reach of the armed forces. This includes the multi-domain challenges that the security forces, especially in the present scenario, faces from the adversary. That includes the use of every possible asset that the Indian Armed Forces have, ranging from the ground infantry to the mechanized force to the artillery to the armored wing and also to the air defenses, that how all the wings of the Indian Armed Forces in collaboration with each other will be carrying out the ground air offensives to decimate the enemy infrastructure and the nefarious designs of the enemy. Today we take you to the desert of Rajasthan where Indian Armed Forces are conducting this mega exercise under the Konark Corps of the Indian Army's Southern Command.
Deep in the deserts of Jaisalmer, along the Indo-Pak international border, the Indian Army's newly raised Rudra Brigade and pair of commandos are rewriting the playbook of modern warfare. Led by the Southern Command, this exercise marks the operational debut of Rudra Brigade, India's newly formed all-arms combat formation.
These visuals are of the Rudra Brigade of the Indian Army, that includes the Bhairav commandos that are now taking part, and we will be showing you how the operations are carried out by the Rudra Brigade of the Indian Army. This is one of the newly raised brigades and the Bhairav commando battalions that are between the Rashtriya Rifles, the infantry, Ghatak units and the special forces. And now is the Southern Army commander interacting with the troops on ground from the Rudra Brigade as well as the Bhairav battalion. Now we move to the operations, that is the multi-domain operations that are taking place here in the desert of Rajasthan.
Its mission to demonstrate how modern warfare is fought across domains: land, air, cyber and space, all integrated into one theatre.
रुद्र जो एक नई इंटीग्रेटेड ऑल आर्म्स ब्रिगेड ग्रुप को खड़ा किया गया है, उसके सैनिक आपके सामने इस तरफ है और जिस इक्विपमेंट के साथ ये रुद्र ब्रिगेड लैस है वो भी यहाँ सामने खड़ा है। इस रुद्र ब्रिगेड को भी इस एक्सरसाइज अखंड प्रहार के दौरान हमने फुल्ली ऑप वैलिडेट किया है। और मैं यहाँ पर एक चीज़ बोलना चाहूँगा कि ये जो रुद्र ब्रिगेड है इसको इन्फेंट्री, आर्मर्ड, मैकेनाइज्ड इन्फेंट्री, आर्टिलरी, एयर डिफेंस आर्टिलरी, इंजीनियर्स, इन सब के इमदादी दस्तों को एक साथ मिलाकर अंजाम देने के लिए तैयार किया गया है। और जैसे कि आप लोग सब वाकिफ़ हैं, रुद्र का मतलब महादेव या शिव, या एक और पर्यायवाची हुई प्रचंड। तो अगर मैं कुछ आपको बताना चाहूँ कि ये जो एक्सरसाइज है अखंड प्रहार, इसमें इस रुद्र ब्रिगेड ने अपनी ऑप वैलिडेशन के दौरान प्रचंड वार के साथ अपने आप को ऑप वैलिडेट कर अपनी कामयाबी हम सबको यहाँ दिखाई है। और मैं पूरी तरीके से संतुष्ट हूँ कि ये जो रुद्र ब्रिगेड आने वाले समय में दिए हुए मल्टी डोमेन टास्क में कामयाब हो सकेगा। यहाँ पर एक और बात बताना चाहूँगा, इस रुद्र ब्रिगेड को इसलिए भी खड़ा किया गया है क्योंकि हमारे भारतीय फौज की एक डॉक्ट्रिन होती थी जिसको हम कोल्ड स्टार्ट डॉक्ट्रिन कहते थे, जिसके तहत फौज मोबिलाइज करती थी और मोबिलाइज के बाद ऑपरेशनल एरिया में कारगर होने के लिए रेडी होती थी। परंतु अब समय आ गया रुद्र ब्रिगेड के साथ कोल्ड स्टार्ट डॉक्ट्रिन को कोल्ड स्ट्राइक डॉक्ट्रिन में तब्दील करने का, यानी कि ये रुद्र ब्रिगेड जो है एकदम हर समय रेडी, इस इलाके में मौजूद, अपने दिए हुए टास्क को पूरी तरीके से कारगर तरीके से सक्षम और प्रभावशाली इफेक्ट दुश्मन पर करने के लिए।
As operations begin, the skies come alive. Advanced light helicopters roar above the horizon, airdropping commandos deep inside simulated enemy territory. Their mission? Disrupt enemy supply lines, block reinforcements, and strike command hubs before the ground offensive begins.
The multi-domain operations are taking place and it requires the active involvement of all the wings. Here you will see that the troops of the Indian Army, they are being dropped to the location. You will see the drones already hovering in. Those locations that you see, the two tent-like structures, these are the enemy locations. And here, one of the hepters of the Indian Army, that hepter is going down. It will drop the troops into this very area because troops, it is not always possible to have the forces on ground always. And it is a time-taking process to drop them or to bring them via road or via these off-beat tracks. So what is being done? You will see that the troops are being dropped at that very place using the hepters, and then is the multi-domain operations taking place. This has the there you will see the troops will slither down. These are the special forces, these are the troops from the regular infantry wing that are now being dropped at that very location. So once the troops are dropped at that very location, they will very soon join back for the operations, because if we speak of this very area, this area is really a challenging area of operations. And as I'll request Rawatji to move away from that very area and get on to this drones, because drones are not only providing an aerial surveillance, but drones are also providing an active real-time information for the Indian Armed Forces of the ongoing operations, that how these operations are to be conducted with the slithering of the troops on the ground. The operation and the stage is all set, that now the advances, the offensives are launched against the adversary that is hiding still in its bunkers. And this is how the Indian Army has prepared this exercise, Akhand Prahar, that is the uninterrupted strikes on the enemy.
On the ground, artillery batteries open up, thundering across the dunes as the long-range guns neutralize fortified bunkers. Surveillance never stops. ALH helicopters, fitted with optical sensors and thermal imagers, track every single movement below.
Indian Armed Forces are carrying out highly contested and complex battle operations here in Rajasthan, and here you will see that it is the advanced light helicopters that are entering the war zone. This is the multi-domain operations that are taking place in the deserts of Rajasthan, and what you see is these are the advanced light helicopters of the Indian Army's aviation wing. This exercise that you see on your screen, this is taking place close to the Indo-Pakistan international border. The message to the adversary is that any provocation will be seen as act of war and it will have repercussions for them. And for the same, Indian Armed Forces are preparing themselves under the largest exercise that is taking place post Operation Sindoor, exercise Trishul. And here you will see that the advanced light helicopters, they are moving in the area. The location that they are crossing, they also have the deployment of the artillery 130 mm. These are the self-propelled guns that have already been stationed there to give adversary a befitting reply. Reason being that these are the highly contested and complex battle operations that usually take place in this area, because this area in the past has also seen the provocations from the adversary, and that's why this exercise is taking place in this general area of the Rajasthan's Jaisalmer, where it is not only a challenge to fight this, but the challenge is to survive. So braving all the odds, it's the Indian Army, it's the Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy when it comes to the maritime security zone. They are also ensuring that every nook and corner of the country is secure and attempt from the adversary is given a befitting reply.
From the command posts, officers monitor live feeds, adjusting battlefield plans in real time. Above the battlefield, unmanned aerial vehicles sweep the sky. UAVs and rotary platforms coordinate to provide continuous surveillance, mapping out enemy patterns, transmitting live data to ground batteries, and enabling real-time targeting. As the skies stay active, T-90 Bhishma main battle tanks take charge on the ground. Advancing in formation, they crush enemy defenses in a full-scale simulated assault. Combat drones fly overhead, dropping explosives on bunkers, perfecting the model of non-contact warfare, where technology takes the front line.
In the enemy's area, now the offensives have started. Here what we have is the tanks of the Indian Armed Forces, the Indian Army. They have already hitting ground. You will see in the visuals that the loud bangs that you hear, these are the tanks, the T-90 Bhishma tank that is known as the one of the main battle tanks of the Indian Armed Forces that has already started moving in the area. This tank has the capability that it can strike 5 kilometers in the enemy area, and once this 125 mm shell is fired from the tank, then it has the enemy completely decimated. On the other side, if Rawatji is in a position to show you the ridge line, you will see the troops are also advancing along with the tanks that are rolling on the ground. This is being done so that a coordinated effort, be it by the mechanized wing, by the artillery wing, by the air defense wing, and also the infantry wing. They are moving along with each other. So it is a shoulder to shoulder operation technique that is being adapted by the armed forces. Reason being that what we are witnessing is high intensity and complex operation. Here you will see that the drones are also taking now route. This I'll request Rawatji to, if we can pull off from that, and we can go to the drones that have been brought into the operations. These drones are to ensure that the view that we have is a multi-layered view of the situation that is taking place. And on the other hand, you will see that the helicopter also that has dropped the troops. Now it is the assault that is taking place. I'll request Rawatji to be on the visuals that 2 blasts have taken place at the enemy location. This is to ensure that the enemy's powers are curtailed at very start, with the troops yet to reach the spot. These are the long-range validations that are taking place.
When the bombardment ends, infantry units move in. Trained for desert warfare, they advance behind the armor, breaching trenches, seizing enemy positions, and consolidating captured ground under artillery cover.
Number 4, fire! Now that we have seen that the drones have done their work, it is the ground troops that are hitting the ground. You will see that the infantry wings, they have also entered the area that is of the enemy. With the vehicles on the ground, every possible support is being extended, and now they are taking control of the hostile situation that is there. The enemy camps are being taken over. These are the rocket launchers. These are everything here you will see that is on the mobility. Why it is being done? That first the assault has taken place. We saw the helicopters dropping the troops into the operation. Second, what we have seen, that the drones have swung into the action. Then it was the tanks including the T-90 Bhishma tank that got into the action, and we saw that the tanks have decimated the enemy's infrastructure that was there. Now the troops have entered this very area. You will see taking cover. Since this is an open area, it has to be very precise, it has to be very calculated operations that are taking place. And now as we speak, you will see loud bangs also taking place, but the infantry troops, they are also moving. You will see drones have also swung into the action. Why these drones? These drones are different from what we have seen earlier. Earlier the drones were dropping the explosives into the enemy area. But now what is happening, that these drones are carrying our own supplies. So this is a supply chain that these drones are providing. And also now inducted into the operation is the all-terrain vehicle that you will see. These ATVs are capable of moving into every possible domain. I'll request Rawatji to move to the ATVs that are moving. You will see how this is braving all these desert odds, all the challenges, the demographic and geographical challenges that it have. And now to the other side, to the drone. I'll request Rawatji, because the first drone has dropped, that is on the other side, and the drone that is here on the other side, that is also going to drop the consignment, because this consignment dropping is very important. It provides an assistance, and this is the payload that being dropped, and it will now be picked up by the troops on the ground and will be used for the operations. So this is how the every aspect and the every wing is contributing to these multi-domain operations, because these kind of high contested and complex operations are the one that actually test a force, and this is what the Indian Armed Forces are actually known for, that they have integrated this entire system, that is the jointness, Atmanirbharta and innovation, in such a manner that they can carry out the operations in any hostile situation like we are witnessing here.
The tempo intensifies. Indian forces now launch a full-scale counter-offensive. Tank regiments, BMP infantry vehicles, and artillery batteries move in unison across the Thar Desert. Their goal? Dominate before the adversary can reach.
Now is the time when the armed forces are carrying out the operations to completely flush out the enemy's location, and here you will see that first the advancement was of the T-90 tanks that are rolling on the ground, while on the very right I'll request Rawalji to move to this area, that these are the BMPs that help to move the forces into these operations in such hostile situations and the places where we have seen that it is almost impossible for other vehicles to even fly on this. These BMPs are the actually real difference makers for the armed forces, because what we have seen that these operation requires the quick movement of the armed forces, and that too in such a manner that it leaves enemy with no chance to actually carry out any counter offensives. Right now the visuals that you are seeing are from the Jaisalmer. This is the place where the exercise Trishul is taking place, a major component that is exercise Akhand Prahar, the uninterrupted strikes. It is similar name to what we have seen on the 6th and 7th of May when India carried out the precision strikes on the terror bases of Pakistan, followed by the bases of the Pakistani armed forces that tried to target our main cities. And now you will see that this entire desert will have the presence of the first it was the tanks, and now is the BMP-2s that are moving in the area. This all is ensuring that these multi-domain operations are success, and that too at a time when we are witnessing that the adversary is trying every possible way to disrupt peace and to provoke India.
Deployed for the first time in a major integrated exercise, this future-ready commando unit operates under the Rudra Brigade.
For the first time on the television, we are showing you the Bhairav Battalion. These are the Bhairav Commando Battalions of the Indian Army. These have been deployed in the western sector as part of the exercise Trishul that is taking place. I'll request Rawalji to come this way so that we can keep showing you the visuals. It is the Southern Army Commander who is reviewing the exercise Trishul that is taking place, and this has the active involvement of these newly raised battalions. This is the Bhairav Battalion. On the shoulders that you will see that why they are special. They have the sophisticated weapon systems with them, and these are so sophisticated that they carry out the operation almost in line with the special forces of the Indian Army. These snipers that you see, they have been camouflaged in such a manner. I'll request Rawalji to come this way where the Southern Army Commander.
Trained for high-tempo mechanized warfare, the Bhairav commandos move with precision, striking, adapting and blending into the chaos of modern combat.
इस प्रकार से ये एक्शन में आते हैं, एक्चुअली ये घोर नुकसान पहुंचाने की क्षमता रखते हैं दुश्मन के ऊपर, और जिस तरीके से हमने इनको पिछले 4 ही महीने हुए जब से इनको खड़ा किया गया, और वो एक दिन था 4 महीने पहले, और आज का ये दिन है जो आपने कल दूसरी कंपनी का भरूचवाला में भी देखा और आज अखंड प्रहार में भी देख रहे हैं। जो ये भैरव प्लेटून है, जो भैरव की जो बटालियन है, जिसकी 2 असॉल्ट टीमें हैं, किस प्रकार से और क्या क्षमता रखती है। मेरा ये मानना है कि जो हमने इन लोगों को खड़ा किया, और ये आर्मी हेडक्वार्टर के निर्देश अनुसार था, इनको सन ऑफ द सॉइल कॉन्सेप्ट पे खड़ा किया गया, यानी कि इस पलटन की भैरव बटालियन जो है, इसमें 83% जवान जो हैं या रेगिस्तान या राजस्थान के रहने वाले हैं। तो ये इस कण-कण, इस ज़मीन के कण-कण से वाकिफ है, और इस एरिया में इतनी भली भांति समाज आते हैं कि जो ये आउटपुट निकालते हैं, मेरा ये मानना है कि जिस प्रकार से ये लोकल यहाँ के रिक्रूटेड फौज है, पहली बात। दूसरा, इनके पास नए औजार, नई तकनीकी इक्विपमेंट से ये लोग लैस हैं। तो जिस प्रकार से ये दुश्मन के ऊपर बरस सकते हैं दिए हुए किसी भी टास्क पर, इनका जो टास्किंग ऑर्डर है वो एक घातक प्लेटून जो कि एक इन्फेंट्री बटालियन में होती है, और जो हमारी एसएफ बटालियंस हैं उनके बीच की इनकी हरकत रहती है। इनका तभी इनको लाइट कमांडो बटालियन का औहदा दिया गया है, और एक लाइट कमांडो बटालियन के चलते ये जो भैरव बटालियन है, ये टैक्टिकल लेवल मल्टी डोमेन टास्किंग कर सकती है। टैक्टिकल लेवल पर मल्टी डोमेन टास्किंग का अंजाम भली भांति कर सकती है। और मुझे आज ये बताते हुए बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि ये जो भैरव बटालियन, जिसका नॉमेनक्लेचर नंबर 2 भैरव बटालियन है, ये 12 कोर का एक हिस्सा है और 4 महीने पहले इन्हें खड़ा किया गया था। और आज इस एक्सरसाइज के माध्यम से, अखंड प्रहार के माध्यम से इन्हें ऑपरेशनली वैलिडेट किया है और ये हर एक प्रकार के ऑपरेशन को अंजाम देने के लिए पूरी तरीके से सक्षम है और एक प्रभावशाली तरीके से दिए हुए टास्क का अंजाम को एक सफलतापूर्वक अचीव कर सकते हैं।
As the final phase unfolds, helicopters return, this time for casualty evacuation under simulated hostile conditions. Flying under radar threat, pilots execute rescue landings, retrieving the wounded from the active zone.
In the active war zone, there lies a possibility of the damage that takes place, and for the casualty evacuation, I'll request Rawatji to directly go to that very place that where this casualty evacuation is taking place. This is the Cheetah and the Chetak helicopters that have been pressed into the action. They have picked the casualty and now they are moving back. These are the specialized pilots that are used for this evacuation, because this evacuation takes place in the active war zone, and there lies a possibility that the evacuation that has gone to that very area, that might also become the collateral damage in the same. But what is being done, that they fly at a height where they are almost invisible to the enemy. They move with an active backup support from the ground troops as well as from the aerial support, so that they can take out the casualties, because in a war zone it is equally important to save lives than to kill the enemies. So that is what exactly is being done on the ground by the Indian Armed Forces as they evacuate the casualties from here.
In the blazing heat of the desert, India's armed forces have just tested tomorrow's war. From the sands of Jaisalmer to the skies above, Exercise Akhand Prahar stands as a statement. Seamless, reliant, ready.
White collar jihad is not a fragment of anyone's imagination. It's a reality of contemporary India. Look at the education of these white collar jihadis, these Islamist terrorists. The people who carried out the Chandni Chowk terrorist strike, they are all doctors. The radicalization of Islamist educated minds is the real danger in our society. Let me say tonight, just as I was right about the deep state and I was proven right later, I have been proven right about Islamist terrorism. I will be proven right on white collar jihad. But these are classical examples of people radicalized to the extreme in the mind. They hate India. They hate Bharat. They are termites. They want to eat democracy by staying within this.
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate. Arnab Goswami on The Debate.